are what you'll make, the beautiful cabbage flowers, the cabbage pigment that you make yourself. And then these have a little pokey thing so you can put it in the ground outside your house or apartment. So to start with making your cabbage flowers, the cabbage flower is designed to be a science experiment and an art experiment, because in cabbage you'll get some cabbage leaves. The purple color is called anthocyanin, and I'll give you that word again later so you can remember it, but it's this purple color, and that purple color is a special kind of dye that changes colors with acids and bases. Now you're probably thinking this is already too far out, but what I mean by acid is just lemon juice, and what I mean by bases is baking soda. So what we'll do is we're going to make our cabbage juice flowers. The paper will be dyed with the cabbage juice, and once we dye the paper we can let it dry, and then we can tint it with lemon juice and baking soda. And I think you'll have fun because you can see the purple of the cabbage turns different colors with those two chemicals that come in your kitchen. So what we do first to start is be in a sunny spot and get your bowl and tear up the cabbage into smaller pieces, and that'll release some of the dye on the edges. Just rip it up. It's pretty strong. This is an old piece, so it's kind of stretchy. Tear it up. You might have to use a little fingernails. And fill up your bowl with the purple. It's kind of red violet, kind of purple blue. And you think, what colors make purple? Well, red and blue. So this anthocyanin chemical that's in cabbage leaves is a fun one to play with because it has lots of colors in it, red and blue and purple. So once you have it torn up, see it's getting filled up. This has to sit, you can let it sit overnight even, but we're going to let it sit here for most of this sunny day, and we'll come back this afternoon. And then I just pour my water on it. Cover it up. If you're someone that likes to play with stuff like this, you can squish it in there and start it getting purple. It starts getting the color right away. See the pretty purple? It's already lavender. That's right away, but we want a lot more color than that. So we're going to let this sit, and preferably in the sun or a warm spot so the water gets warmed up, and then we'll come back and see what we do next. Hi, okay, so this cabbage has been sitting now since this afternoon, and I brought it in my house, and I'm just looking at it and it's nice and purple. That's the anthocyanin pigments, natural purple. So what we'll do is, these are the coffee filters that are going to make up the flower, and what I like to do is kind of separate them so they're not just in one clump, because they are harder to separate later. So I separate them now when they're dry. They're kind of tucked together. Just lightly set them together in a more way that they have a little more space between each one. You'll probably get 6 or 7 or so you can make 2 or 3 flowers depending. Now what I'm going to do is try to just use my hand, or if you want you can use a tool, like this is a paintbrush, or you could use a fork to just keep the little bits of cabbage out. If you have a strainer, that's nice, but I'm just going to sit here till, try not to get any pieces, because then I'll have to put my hand in it. and get the pretty violet water out. All that color just came out of the leaves of the cabbage. I'm just going to sit here while I make sure I get as much liquid as I have. And then, now I'm going to set these in it. Actually, this is good, and then kind of poke down. Here, see how you can see it starting to absorb? And it might smell a little bit like cabbage, so hopefully you're okay with that smell. It doesn't smell like that when it's all dry, but when it's wet, it has that cabbagey smell a little bit. And then this, I'm going to set in a warm place tonight. If there's a warm place in your kitchen, or in your living room on top of a radiator, near one of the places where the heat comes out by the wall. And then in the morning, I'm going to set it back in the sun. But what we want to do is see how it starts to get absorbed by the filters. That's called wicking. The cotton of these filters wicks the color up into it. It's kind of like a candle wick, wicks up the wax as it's burning. So it pulls up the liquid, and then it's going to take a little while for these to dry. They're sort of like fins now. They get real flimsy, so I guess I won't touch it much. And I'm just going to set it in a warm place for the night. I'm going to set it on this radiator. And then in the morning, I'm going to put it out in the sun. And then we'll come back. It's the next day. This is a long project. It's a lot of doing things, small things, and then waiting and coming back. So I'm trying to find some more interest here with things that you can check out. This has been sitting overnight and there's still juice in it. But you can see how the paper is starting to pull the purple dye up into the paper. And those are all my papers. There's 7 in there. It doesn't look like it, but and it's also turned kind of blue. So why does that? I can tell you that what happens overnight is in the air, the acid that's in the dye starts to evaporate out, and you end up with more of a blue. Because here's the fresh stuff. I had made some more. I like to press it down to get it working. And this is the fresh. Look how different they are. The fresh has a lot more red in it. And that red, it'll evaporate out over time. And also if you heated it up on the stove or in the microwave, it would turn more blue. But I wanted to show you another thing we could do while I'm going to let this sit now during the day in the sun and get it to really soak up all that color. So I get a really blue paper. And you can use a brush, or if you don't have a brush, you could use paper towel. And I got some foil. And I'm just going to make some drawing paper, painting paper. And so I put this out so it doesn't go through. I'll do 2, I guess. And if you have a tray works. If you don't have a tray, tinfoil works, or a piece of plastic wrap would work, just so it doesn't soak onto the surface underneath. If you don't have a brush, you can take a paper towel and get it on there and start to wash it onto your paper. And it looks like it's not doing anything. It takes a while. You might have to do a couple layers. So if you're doing something outside, you can get this going. Get some liquid on there, not so much that you wreck your paper. Let it dry in the sun. Once it's dry, put some more on so that little by little your paper's going to turn color, and it'll be coloring paper that you can color with lemon juice. It'll be like secret message paper. So I'm going to let this sit and dry, and then I'm going to come back and do a little more. Okay, have fun in the sun. Okay, it's a couple hours later and it's in the sun still, and it's almost all evaporated. So it does take some time. You can turn it like this now when it's almost all gone. You can turn it like this to start getting it to dry out a little more. Or if you're patient, you can leave it. I'm going to face it towards the sun to see if I can get it to dry out faster. Now these, I've coated them about 5 times and it's still pretty light, but it's getting bluer. So what I did was I put this in the microwave oven for 2 minutes and it really sped up that process and it's a lot more purple. So I'm just going to do a couple more coats on my paper. It's drying out really nice. It dries really fast in the sun and it gets a little wrinkly. If that bothers you, you can try pressing it down as it's drying, but I don't really mind that, so I'm just going to leave those wavy lines. So it got really purple in the microwave. That was nice to make my dye for the paper. And then this paper will be extra to the cabbage flowers. You get 2 blue things happening here. So see how I try to cover it from corner to corner, edge to edge. You don't have to, but that way you have the most use of your paper when it's all dry. This one's already almost dry. It's pretty sunny right now, so this is going nice and fast. If it's a cloudy day, you might just want to wait till it's a sunny day to do this, because the heat really lets it dry faster. And if your paper sits there soggy, it's gonna get weak. It's going to start to disintegrate. So I would not recommend doing this on a cloudy day, okay? This is a fun, in the sun activity. This is it. This is not going to be done again. The other thing you can do with this now, I'm going to add a little more of my microwave juice. And now I'm just going to set these to dry. I'm going to try to separate them so that we can do the cabbage flowers. I'm just going to set them here to dry. I know it looks kind of grungy, but I think there were about 6 pieces. But separating them means they're going to dry faster. And if they dry really fast, I might, if I'm out here, I might put a little more of my purple juice on them. So this is kind of playtime, like let them sit overnight. Oh, those are stuck together. Yeah, I had 6. Okay, and then as those dry, just put a little more. This is just making a mess. You can do this on the cement on your sidewalk. If there's cement by you, that's the best. This is really blue. Remember what I said? Why does it get blue? Because it reacts with the air and it evaporates out the acidy part and it turns, instead of purple, it's really blue. It's really pretty blue right now. It's like a sky blue. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, hi, so here we are. We're gonna color our coffee filters. They're all dry. You can see there's shades of range of bluish and purplish. The paper turned out a lot bluer because I put so many layers of the juice on it and let it dry in between, and I had microwaved the juice so it got more concentrated. So you can see this is going to be super reactive to our chemicals. But this will work too. This will be for our flowers and this will just be for fun. So I want to show you what to do. It's a little breezy. So I have a little water in my bowl. I'm going to get baking soda. Just get like a teaspoon of baking soda and just a little water. Dissolve it. And that makes a base. That means it's the opposite of an acid. It doesn't prickly. If you get it on your cut, you won't feel it. If you get lemon juice on your cut, you're gonna feel it. That's acid. So here's the lemon juice, and here's the baking soda. So what I'm gonna do first is show you that special word, anthocyanin. And antho means plant. Cyanin. Cyan is actually a blue. It means bluish. Whoops. You can say this big word and act like you'll be really brainy. Anthocyanin. That's the dye that's made from that cabbage juice, and blueberries have it, but blueberries are so expensive, so we used cabbage. But that's why your mouth gets blue if you eat fresh blueberries. So with this paper, you can do a picture. You can use lemon. You can see how the lemon, you get some pinks and even red after it dries. And you can put the baking soda and see what that does. What do you think it's gonna do? We'll have to wait till it dries. You can do something more delicate than what I did here because I'm kind of hurrying, but it's cold out today, so I'm not gonna play too long. But you'll get two different colors. I'll show you my test strip. The baking soda got really green, and the lemon juice went kind of purple. You might want to try some other things around your house. Salt you could try. Vinegar is kind of a weak acid. You could try vinegar, and you can just play with this paper in the sun and see what comes out. It'll be all these beautiful shades of blue and green and pink. And so that's the same idea we're going to use for our coffee filters. And I would recommend to do this on a sunny day. And you can just be fun with it because you want to get different. I'm just going to drip a little lemon juice. See, that works right away. Get some pink on there. I think I'll do that on a couple of them. Look, it just reacts so fast. It's so cool. Set that out to dry. And then these do have to dry. This was just water. I'm rinsing out my lemon juice brush. Get some baking soda. Oh, see how it picked up the lemon juice that had dripped on the tin foil? There I did like a cross. Let that dry. Maybe I'll do a spiral, but I don't want to do them all. I'm just going to let you come up with your ideas. And then I'm going to leave some blank. I kind of like that spiral. Okay, so let these dry, and then when we're ready, we'll come back in the morning, or these will dry like in half an hour. We'll come back and I'll show you how to build them into the fluffy flowers that you saw at the beginning. This is what the finished flowers will look like. This is, you have a range of colors, blue, green, purple, pink. So these are really fun. They have a really sharp point, so you can stick them in a pot, in the dirt outside. So I'm going to show you now. You've seen how the paper was made. These are the last my coffee filters that I have left. And they're all dry and ready to be made into a flower. So you will have enough filters to make 2 or 3 flowers, depending how many layers you do. So what you do is you pick your favorite. I'm going to pick this for the outside, this for the middle, this for the inside. And it's real simple. You just poke through this flat end and make sure you get like an inch sticking out, and then fold it on there nice and kind of scrunch it around that stick that's sticking in the middle. See, it's still in there. Fold it around the outside and press it down around it. So it's grabbing, the papers are all grabbing that stick. You can kind of twist it so it really stays on. Then you take your piece of string, and I like to pre-tie it because I can't do that when I'm up on the stick. So I pre-tie it just loose, a little tie like you're going to tie your shoes. And then put that on that part where it's ready to get, where it's kind of pressed down over the stick. And then gently squeeze it tight. If you want to be fancy, you could wrap it around a couple more times and tie it again. But you just want to make sure that those are going to be tied down. They're not going to go flying off there. That's it. Then, this is fine where it is, but what's nice is to fluff out each layer. The lower layer can come out. You can bring the top layer in. Just mess around with it till you like it. And you'll get a big fluffy flower. And so many cool colors came out of that one purple pigment. All right, so now you made 2 or 3 flowers. You can put them, give them to a friend, give them to yourself. And then don't forget, these are just the fun pieces of paper that you can play with your lemon juice and baking soda. And you can use your big word, anthocyanin. I hope you had fun in the sun. See you again soon. Bye.